Hi, welcome back.
Thank you.
During our first session last week, we went over quite a few things, and I was just wondering if there were any updates from last week about how things were going as you're parenting Carly.
Well, she disobeyed me again, and when I told her she could no longer play with her iPad and I took away her phone,
Mhm.
I came back from work, it's a long day, and she was playing with it. And when I asked her how she got it, she said Nicole gave it to her. So everything that we talked about didn't work because she didn't follow my rules.
Okay, so Nicole, now, of course, this is your second marriage, right? And so Carly is your biological child.
Yes.
So you decided that you should go ahead and give the iPad to Carly.
Yeah, I mean, I've been raising Carly now. Carly's 12 years old. I've been raising her for 12 years, although Belinda and I just recently got in a relationship a couple years ago. But I think that it's important for Carly to follow the rules that I've already embedded in her, and I didn't feel any bad or worse giving her iPad back. Just because, I mean, I understand what Belinda was saying, but at the same time, I think that Carly learned her lesson. I think we have different approaches of parenting, and I didn't think that it was that big of a deal.
Okay, and so clearly there's a disagreement still and a conflict, and we're going to get back to that in a minute. You've been through a lot with Carly, Nicole. I mean, you've really been down on your luck the last few years since your divorce.
Yes.
How do you think that relates to Belinda's experience in life?
I mean, I'm not really sure about what Belinda's relationships were like prior to ours, but I know in my relationship with my ex-husband, we raised Carly kind of with the same parenting skills. Carly, she listened. She was just able to do everything as we had taught her to do. It was never an issue raising her. I think that because Belinda did not have any children prior to coming into our relationship, that it's been more difficult for her to be able to relate and to understand the parenting technique. And I think also, unfortunately, because she's not her biological child, it kind of becomes a conflict between who Carly wants to listen to and who she doesn't want to listen to.
So you mentioned parenting techniques. So you're both here living in a relatively new lesbian relationship marriage. But both of you were raised in heterosexual families.
Yes.
Mother, father. I know your experience, Nicole, was that you really had to scrape by for quite a bit. And your experience, Belinda, was that you've had a lot of money and you've already experienced a lot of success in the family, in your career, and you're the breadwinner for this family. And so you contribute a certain amount, an awful lot to this family as well, even though Carly is not your child. But what can you tell me, like Nicole mentioned parenting skills. Just for a second, what do you think are some of the most valuable parenting skills that you learned from your parents?
I think when I was growing up, I listened to my parents no matter what they said. And when I did something wrong, like disobeyed them or talked back to them, I was punished.
So there was a lot of consistency and structure.
Yes.
Okay. Nicole, what do you think were some of the best parenting skills you saw from your parents?
I mean, mine were pretty similar, although my parents, my father was not around as much, so I was basically disciplined more so by my mother because of that. And it was kind of the same thing. Like if I were to disobey my parents, then there would be consequences to that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're having problems with Carly right now, and she's not responding well recently. What are some of the things that she's said and done about why she's having such a hard time?
Well, I know we just adopted Mikey, and he's not 3, he's a little boy. And, you know, Mikey's growing up, and there's another person in the household now. It was just the 3 of us for so long. And then Mikey came in the picture, and then all of a sudden, to my knowledge, Carly started acting up and saying how I wasn't her parent, and she didn't need to listen to me, and you know, she just directed everything to Nicole when I've been with Carly since she was 4.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so really I think what we need to get at now is a goal we can agree on, okay? And somehow we need to get Carly also, you know, feeling that sense of structure. You mentioned consistency, Belinda. How do you think, what is the end state for you? What would it look like to succeed in this parenting endeavor?
I think for Nicole and I to agree on the right punishment for both the kids, not just Carly, and if we agree on something, that I don't come home and find that she's doing the opposite. So we need to be a united front so that the kids know that they can't pit us against one another.
Okay. Does that sound good to you, Nicole?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that communicating about how we're going to parent both of our children would be important. I think that we probably haven't had that conversation in the past, but now that we definitely have 2 children, that it would be important.
Okay. And is this something that fits each of your experience in life, perhaps as African American women in this country, and all the values? We've mentioned, you know, how there's different values that in some ways that you've had, but you're coming together on something. Do each of you feel like you're being consistent with who you are with this goal?
I think so. Like we mentioned, consistency, and if we're both on the same page, we can become more consistent and then talk about what parenting changes we need to make to assure that we're both of our values are being.
Great. Okay. And are there any strategies? What do we think we can actually do to make this happen? Are there any adjustments that we need to do, a goal perhaps in mind, to actually make it happen? You mentioned the iPad. Is that something we could maybe focus on?
Yeah, I think so, especially since that just happened recently.
Okay.
And she likes the iPad, so.
So you had a different perspective. What are we going to agree upon when it comes to the rule for the iPad?
I think, as Belinda said, that she took the iPad away from Carly for a specific reason, and I think that if I were to also stick by Belinda and emphasizing that it's not okay and that you should listen to both of us, that it would be wise.
And I think also setting a time on the length of the punishment too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So like a week.
A week, a couple
Okay.
of hours, yeah.
Great. Well, I'm glad you have that strategy in mind. The most important thing moving forward now for this next week is to absolutely positively stick to this plan. Stay focused. Winning in this area is something that can perhaps breed success in a lot of other areas of your relationship, but your family as a whole, and also setting up for Mikey as he's growing up. Okay?